Yesterday, guys, I finally watched one of the most controversial movies this year called Megalopolis. And after watching it, my feeling is that it feels like an unfinished masterpiece that could have been so much better. I will describe that feeling as sort of the same feeling I had if it wasn't Spider and Project Power that also were movies that had a good potential but never managed to uphold that potential. Today, we will of course give you a more detailed look into what worked in this movie and how it indeed could have been a masterpiece with some minor changes. On a positive side, Giancarlo Esposito and Adam Driver does some good performances here. They are in opposition to each other. Adam Driver plays this man with crazy vision that wants to build a megacity called Cesar Catalina. And Giancarlo plays the major Cicero that opposes his plans and calls him a rebel. This feud is very well portrayed, and something that at least in the beginning makes the movie a refreshing watch. Another positive is how the chaos in the city is portrayed. This city where crime is up and people are displeased called New Rome City. The opposition to what sees about the people is very well portrayed in its rather chaotic way, but also it is a movie which in that elements looks a bit like Dark City. In itself, the city looks quite cool, and it is one of the fewer features that intrigues you in a movie that feels like an unfinished project. You got further positives in the other voice that falls in Lawrence Fishburne that plays Funde in his movie that creates a certain engagement in what at times they could look a quite odd movie that you do not quite understand. It is, in that respect, also a bit easy to fall out of the movie, and you keep losing the engagement, at least in the second part. Another good feature in the movie, before we delve into the issues, that movie does have, is about how this movie dares to be unique as a historic opposition to many movies that comes out today. That, of course, implies that they can use that creativity in the right way, but that's something we will touch on later on. If we go now to talk about the issues, the first issue is about how this movie explains the events badly. Think about Tenet and how they fail to make you understand the immortal bullets wholehearted. This movie explains things even worse. If we take a look at some examples, it is never explained how Caesar can control time and why he's able to do that. It is never explained why he loses his ability, but then gets it back again when he stops time for Julia, the woman that he falls in love with. That is also just a pattern that follows much of this movie, where you fail to understand important events and why they happen. The movie itself can at times feel very little serious, and that's something that was a criticism that was given right from the off. In that respect, you are very unsure about what story this movie is trying to tell you. It is never clear cut. What is the ambition of this movie? That's a question we can never grasp. At times, a further issue with this movie comes to the fold, especially in the second part, where you simply see too much romance between Julie and Caesar. This character, Julie, is not necessarily badly written, but the way she is written, it just invites you into an ocean of romance where she wants to work with this guy and be his young lover. For some reason, not entirely explained funny enough. Another issue I will point my finger on is the concept of the megalon, where that neither is explained in a satisfying way. That's something that you of course could understand by reading between the lines, but it should have been better explained. That's one of the reasons I also don't really understand why John Voight screams out about his joy for Megalon quite late in this movie. And it's also not that well explained what really happens when Cesar Catalina is drunk at this party in the hall and he sees himself in a mirror, like 10 versions of himself or something like that. What is the deal with that? Is that just fiction, or is it a new brewing of a big ability? Another thing that is related to this newfound ability that he gets after he has been shot and comes back on his feet again, then it seems like he has crazy visions all over, and it is not explained how he does it. Another comment I will give you on this movie is specifically about the concept about this crazy visionary that wants to build a megacity. It is a good one, but it is sad that it is not done in a better way. The concept itself drowns out in the unserious arc, where you see these characters clearly inspired by the Roman Empire, where for instance John Voight does a role as a leader in New Rome City. A further negative, and my last issue with the movie, is that you don't get to see Megalopolis, the final city, and how it is built until very, very late in the movie. Not until the very last minute, actually. We, of course, rather should have seen that much sooner. For me, in general, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10, where I felt it has good elements, no doubt. But if we had polished it a bit more and made it more serious and less like this mirror of an ancient Roman city, and also have cut the Romans more out, explained things much better, you could easily have made this into an 8 out of 10. But now it feels just like an unfinished masterpiece, Just like I said right at the start.